Powered by Riverside FM.
Are you a believer or a skeptic? Join us as we delve into the shadowy world of the paranormal. We're sitting down with a real-life paranormal investigation couple to uncover the truth behind the myths. Tonight on Newsworthy, 2 words and 2 question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Jerry, how are you, brother?
Hello, Mr. Steve. I'm doing well.
Good deal.
I was just thinking.
You were?
In our,
That's a
yeah,
new.
no, exactly. That's why you see the smoke, right? In our intro, after the "Have you checked the children?" you hear the voice shouting, "Get out!" It's never been, those 2 words have never been more apt than tonight, because we're going to talk to some people who have literally heard those words spoken to them.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It is.
Illuminate the beyond. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Those guys are with us tonight. We're excited.
Yes, they are. Absolutely.
Very excited. Stoked, actually, to be honest. There is a small issue with the sound on that. There's some echoing. We couldn't get it worked out, but man, other than that,
They
content
did their part.
is wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful.
They did an excellent job.
I can't wait to have them back and actually bring them in studio.
Hopefully so.
I'm
Absolutely.
excited. So Jerry,
Yes.
I just got to start the show by saying, do you ever, me and you both at one point worked at Big Lots.
Sure.
And, sometimes they buy seconds. And that must have been what happened when I went there and bought a calendar the other day.
Really?
I was so mad. The 5th month was missing out of my calendar.
No. Whole page gone.
Yeah. I was dismayed.
You were dismayed. Mama. No longer have to worry about which month was missing, huh? I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one having a bad day.
Oh, no. What happened?
I fell off a ladder this morning.
You did?
30-foot ladder.
30 feet.
Yes. Thank goodness I was only on the first step, but I fell off a 30-foot ladder this morning. I am just saying.
I can't even
That's not
say
even
it.
really a dad joke. That's just a true story.
That's
really
called
true.
a step.
But it was a ladder, and it went 30 feet up.
Oh,
That's what they call a 30-foot ladder.
Next time you're on a 30-foot ladder, I've got some gutters I need cleaned. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't think it reaches that high. The second thought, maybe it's more like a 3-foot ladder.
Oh, got you. I got you. Jerry, I am beyond stoked today.
Oh,
Do
absolutely.
you know why?
I have an idea.
What?
Well, you go ahead and say, and I'll tell you if it's the same thing I say.
Well, first of all, we have amazing guests this
Oh,
evening.
absolutely.
That's part of it. And the other part is we are 7 days away from the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival.
Very nice.
The largest that we know of Bigfoot festival, at least on the eastern side of the Mississippi.
Oh, I don't
Maybe in the
think-
entire
I don't
United
think it
States.
is. I don't think anything comes close. What are they expecting this year? Last year was like 60,000 people.
Yeah, they're expecting 100,000+ people
That's a lot
over
of
the
people.
course of 2.5 days, basically.
That's a lot of people.
Freaking awesome. I'm stoked. You know, they've got some amazing people that's going to be there this year, too.
Can you tell us
and-
some of the ones that are coming?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. So some of the speakers that they're going to have is, let me get to it. One of my favorites. If you follow Bigfoot at all, if you've ever watched a show on the Discovery Channel or History Channel or any of those documentaries, then you've seen Cliff Barackman. He's a doctor. He works out, and he is a specialist when it comes to the castings. And he is and I forget the terminology, but he works at the University of Idaho, or did. And this is what he does. And he's brilliant. I am stoked. I'm hoping we get the opportunity to meet him. Lori Wade will be there. Lyle Blackburn, Matt Pruitt. I'm also stoked to meet these guys. The Cryptids of the Corn. They're another podcast. I want to meet them. I'm hoping they're there.
Hopefully, we can even get several of these guys on our podcast.
Absolutely.
We're gonna try.
Steve Coles will be there. The Turtle Man has just been announced that he's going to be
Turtle
there.
Man.
And I got to tell you a funny guilty pleasure story. Are you ready for it?
Sure.
So, you know, I like to cruise, and I cruise a lot. Try to go at least once a year. A couple of cruises ago, and I'm not for sure, maybe it's 3 cruises ago, I was in the cabin, because the more you cruise, the more you realize that it's okay to stay in your cabin. So,
Sure.
you know, just enjoying the peace and quiet, the motion of the boat, whatever. And I was watching TV, and this show come on, and it was Mountain Monsters. It was the most ludicrous, crazy bunch of people I have ever laid eyes on a TV show.
Wow.
It's one of those shows that actually takes credit away from, you know, real researchers.
Right.
But one of the guys that was on that show was Wild Bill. He's going to be at the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival. I really hope to get to meet him and have him on the show as an interview. So Brian Wolf will be there. He's going to be the Master of Ceremonies. Jeffrey Thomas is also going to be there. He's the Master of Ceremonies. Ought to be a great time if you are anywhere near Ohio this coming weekend. Next weekend. First weekend in August. I encourage you to come to the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival. I more importantly encourage you to come find our booth and come
Absolutely.
meet us, shake our hand, say hey, come. If you've had an encounter, be it with ghost or Bigfoot or, you know,
I'd
whatever.
love to hear your story.
The Mongolian death worm.
Absolutely.
I'd like to talk to you about it. So yeah, absolutely. Come say us. We're going to have some awesome giveaways at our table, in our booth. We're not selling anything, I don't think.
Nope.
We just
not
want
a
to
thing.
meet you. We want to get your story out. We want to hear what you have to say. And we can do that.
Absolutely.
We have believe it or not, a couple old boys from Kentucky literally has a worldwide audience. We can get you out there, and we want to do that. So come see us at the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival in Logan, Ohio, August 2nd and 3rd. 2 weeks
For those
from now.
not familiar with Logan, Ohio, it's, 20, 30 miles
South-
south.
It's southeastern
east
Ohio.
of Columbus,
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah, it's not too far from Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati. It's an easy drive from any of those.
Yep.
Berkeley, West Virginia is not that far away. Beckley, sorry. Come see us. It's going to be a fantastic. There's going to be we got an email today, and I'm just stoked. They have so much going on. It's going to be cool. So come see us.
Absolutely. And only a week away, and we leave a week from tomorrow. So absolutely, it should be a lot of fun.
Jerry, you are obsessed. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm obsessed.
You're obsessed.
Well, I'm not for sure what you're referring to, but
I
I'm
just
sure
got
that's a good thing, right?
You just
Oh, the chat coming through?
Yeah. We very recently changed publishers. We've told everybody about that. It's been about a month. We're still learning. There's a huge learning curve anytime you do this.
Yeah, I sent that like 5 minutes ago.
But just now popped up on my screen. So we can actually communicate with each other without talking. We can send chat between each other. He just sent me a chat. I'm going to see if I can get Haley on the show. I'm going to try to chat with her publicist.
Haley who?
You know who.
Oh.
I'm not even going to put it out there because you're obsessed.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
Anyway, let's talk to the stars of the show tonight, shall we?
Let's.
So tonight with us, we have Phillip and Amber Crank. They have a Facebook group, Illuminate the Beyond. And what's it say is their description, Jerry?
They're self-described in a wonderful way. It says paranormal enthusiast looking for answers.
And that's so many, and I'm sure that you guys are going to get to this. So many people on TV, they watch TV and they watch Zach Baggins and Ghost Hunters and some of those shows, and I'm like, what? That's not real life, I don't think. But hopefully, and I have no doubt that Phillip and Amber are going to tell us what real life ghost hunting is all about. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, man. We are stoked. We didn't realize how close you guys were to us. You guys could probably had you over here to the studio.
Yeah.
Close
miles away.
So, Phillip, tell us a little bit about what it is that you guys do. And Jerry, I think you had a good question. What drew you guys? I'm still in Jerry's question.
Sure.
What drew you guys into what you do in the paranormal?
Well, for me, my first experience when my grandmother passed away, maybe 15 years ago now. We were cleaning out her house, and I heard her say, "Honey," like something she would say to me, and I was the only one in the house. I didn't feel scared or just felt comforting. And it kind of opened up my mind to that's a possibility. And I got with my wife, and later on, we started watching Ghost Hunters with Tabs. And I really got into it. And she got into it. And we got the opportunity to do our first ghost hunt. I'm sorry, I got the opportunity to do my first ghost hunt about 2 years ago. And I was addicted. It was fun.
That is cool.
Things escalated quickly, it sounds like, from there.
So
Definitely.
what exactly? Neither Jerry nor I have ever been to a ghost hunt. Take us through what that means, what that is for someone who's never done it, never had the opportunity to be on a real ghost hunt. What does that look like?
So most places we go to, we have to rent. They're already established as haunted. So we go in there thinking there's already spirits. We will try to communicate. We will try to be so respectful to them, so respectful to the location, the owners, and to each other. And we want to show them we don't mean them any harm, any disrespect. We just want to talk. We're just there they want to tell us a story, if they want to tell us anything to pass on, anything like that. So when we go in, we'll sit there and establish that. Just talk out loud. Hopefully they can hear us. And then we'll bring out equipment. We'll have cameras and microphones, and we'll try to explain every device that's set out. Hey, here's what this does. If you'd like to use this, it won't hurt you. So we just hope that what we're doing, they'll find a way to communicate with us and have a conversation.
Does a particularly memorable investigation come to mind? Does any of them stick out above the rest?
I think it's a little difficult because there are things about every location that I think resonate with different people. One of the locations that I actually had the best experience at, I was lucky enough to be able to build a rapport with an African American soldier from the Civil War. And it took probably about 40 minutes to, get to a really good relationship with him. But after about 20 minutes of being in separate rooms, because there was construction where the wall was deconstructed between the two rooms, we had started out in one room and he was in another room. And um, because of the time frame he was from, he was not comfortable with white people. So it took about 20 minutes, enough for him to be comfortable with us being kind of in his space. But I did ask him if just me, myself alone, could come into the room where he was. And so after about 20 minutes, I was able to get permission from him to come into the room. And we were able to, after that point, get a little bit of answers from him. We didn't find out why he was ultimately still there, but he did tell us that he started out a slave in the South and was able to make his way north to freedom. And when the Civil War broke out, he fought so that other Black people would have the same rights and freedoms that he did, being in the North. And he did tell us that he did not feel like his sacrifice made a difference, which it did make me really sad. But I was very encouraged that I was able to build enough of a relationship with him that he let me see part of him, although he was not letting little Amber, who's one of our teammates, to actually see spirits. He was not allowing her to see him, but he let me see him. So that was really touching for me. And then he was we had a motion sensor out on the floor, and we just kind of explained to him how it worked. And we asked that if the answer was yes to a question, that, we told him we would give him a little bit of, we were giving about 30 seconds between questions. And we said if the answer was yes, if he could just make that motion sensor go off, and it was making kind of music. And if it was just like a light touch, a light yes, he was just kind of making it make a little sound. But there were some of them that he was really cranking it, and it was making like music go crazy. It was really interesting, though.
Wow.
Can imagine.
So I asked Jerry this the other day, and kind of in jest, and I forget what it was. We were talking about hauntings and stuff, and we were talking about the level of energy that it takes a spirit to communicate, to move something, and I was referencing that video of the office building in Japan. I'm sure you guys have seen that, where the CCTV cameras basically caught all hell breaking loose in that office building in Japan.
I've seen the school in Scotland, but I don't think I've seen the Japan one.
Oh, it's scary. Because there's, you can fake, I'm kind of a skeptic on some of this stuff, like Jerry, and you can fake some of these videos. Everybody knows this. However, with the sheer amount that was going on there, there's no way. I absolutely don't believe that was.
What was your question?
The energy level. Do you guys know or have an idea the level of energy that it takes a spirit to communicate with us? Because sometimes you watch these folks and they spend, there's a couple that do it on Facebook or YouTube, where they just take a thing and they're walking through a cemetery, and occasionally they'll get a word. But it's very occasional. How much energy does it take a spirit to attempt to communicate with you guys?
I think it takes them quite a bit.
Way to answer a very short question.
No, you're good. I think it takes them quite a bit, because even the story Amber was just telling, it took him 45 minutes to talk to him, and he was spent. Just making that music box go off for that long was as much as he could do.
We actually wound up, getting a sense of him slowing down in his answers. And I asked, are you running out of energy? And he said he was. And I was like, you need a break. We can go downstairs and you can kind of take some time, recover, and then we can come back up. And he, acknowledged that yes, he needed a break and that he needed to get some more energy. We usually put out some little toys that are like little plasma balls, trying to help kind of charge the environment a little bit for them. But we also try to make sure that we leave gaps in questions so that, if they did need to build a little bit of energy, that they have, a little bit to respond.
Yeah, we have the little plasma balls that do put out EMF. We brought with us Tesla coil. I've been to a location that had Jacob's ladder, and the ideal is to put the energy out there. I don't know if it does or not, but I'd like to offer it to them if it does.
Sure.
Interesting.
Have you guys ever felt unsafe, scared during one of your investigations?
Okay, so we were at Lake Shawnee, and we just did a walk around. Lake Shawnee is a abandoned amusement park, not in the sense that you would think of they are now, but it was just an old swing. It used to be where they held the fair or whatnot in the amusement park. So we did a tour around the whole place. We drove around some of it, walked around some of it. And when we got back, the owner wanted to show us some pictures and videos, and he had like 3 iPads. And he said, "Here, hold this one up for me." And I held one up, and I looked down at my arm as I'm holding this up, and I've got 4 scratches going all the way down the inside of my arm. And they were really light. Nothing, I didn't even notice them. So most people said that it was just an attention getter, like, "Hey, I'm here." Well, I didn't like that. I made it clear that's not okay. Just talk to me, please. So I wasn't scared, but I just wasn't happy about it.
I've only been scared once, really.
Oh, really?
And it was
What's
Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. And little Amber and I were walking around, and Phillip had wandered away to work with some of the other teams that were there. And we were like, "We've got this. We'll just go on our own." So yeah, let the sensitive go by themselves. It's a great idea, everyone said. So we wound up. I have this thing, just to kind of explain. I have this thing where I'll feel pulled to an area, and I don't know why, and I don't know if it's good or bad, really, until we get there. And so I felt pulled to this area, and I opened the door, and little Amber said, "Let's go." And I said, "I'm not really feeling this. I don't think we should." And she said, "So that's where we should go," and like shoved me on through. And so we get like 50 feet down the hallway, and I'm like, mistakes were made. It's the environment just feels like it's creeping in on you. Like it feels like you can't see them, but it feels like there's probably like 50 people just standing around you, like just feeling really belligerent, And we're like, "We got this." So we're trying to tough it out at the end of the hallway just to prove they're not scaring us, even though we're about to like tee on ourselves. So we get to the end of the hallway, and we turn around and we're coming back, and I behind me start hearing like somebody walking behind us. And it slowly starts getting faster. And I said, "I think we're getting chased out of here." And little Amber said, "We are. Don't look back. Keep going. Don't run." So we walk expeditiously to the exit, but it did not leave us until we hit the landing of the next floor. And
Oh, wow.
it got us out of sorts enough that somehow we wound up another floor above where we thought we were and had no idea.
The little Amber and the other teammate Ash are really good about like staring at something behind me. So I'm like, "Do I need to move? Is there something gonna attack me?"
Her story reminded me of a meme that I saw on your site. And the meme says, you know, you might be a ghost hunter if when you hear the words get out, your default is to go in.
Oh yeah.
I've got to admit,
Yeah.
I'm probably never going to make it as a ghost hunter. If I hear get out, I'm getting out.
So
And
Jerry's never had any kind of
Any.
experience with
But I
ghosts
have no
or
fear. I'll go anywhere.
Bigfoot, anything. And
So
I've had oh, go ahead, Philip.
I'm so sorry. At Lake Shawnee as well. Probably the last thing we did, I heard something scream from the wood. Get out! I'm like, all right, I think it's time to go to bed. I'm not leaving, but I'm going to bed.
Yeah, me too. But next county over is where I would have went.
So
No,
I've
it's just
told
20
this-
feet away. It was
I've-
fine.
Funny because we usually don't
I've
have those
told the
experiences when we're
story.
together. He was across the park from me at that time.
Oh yeah, you were across the pond.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
I've told this story before on the show, but it bears repeating because as to what you're saying, where you feel like you're just in the middle of a whole lot of bad. At this particular church, I used to work for a uniform company. We were dropping off towels and rugs at this church, and we were actually in the youth. They had a separate little house that they used as the youth center, and I was with another driver because I was learning his route because he was about to go on vacation. And we go into this little church and we both kind of look at each other and we keep trying to put the rugs down and the towels. And the longer we were there, the heavier the presence got. And it was a heaviness of just pure evil. I can't, it was dark. And eventually Jason looked at me and I looked at him and we're like, F it, we're out of here. We just threw everything down the middle of the floor and left. That was the worst paranormal experience I've ever encountered.
Surprisingly enough, we have reached out to the church to get their comment several times, and they have never responded.
Because it's local. It's local. I'm going to, after we get off air, because obviously we don't want to put the church out there on blast, but after we get done with the interview, I'm going to let you know which church it is, and maybe you can try to get in there and see what's up. Because
Yeah,
don't
I'm
think
definitely
they're gonna
curious what religion they practice off though.
just Christian. It was just a
Oh,
Christian
okay.
But this
church.
was not a church. This was a 3-bedroom house
Yeah.
next door that they had bought,
Was
gutted,
probably
and was using for a youth center.
Yeah.
But it was church property
Yeah.
belonged to the church.
Okay,
and they probably
So
thought I
some
was
could have
some
already been
crazy
there.
person, but,
see, something could have already been
I
there
just
before they
can't-
made a better place.
Yes.
yeah, and you know the weird thing is, I just can't imagine that with that much energy and that much presence,
Nothing
that
had been
somebody else had
reported.
never felt that.
Yeah.
I just can't.
You're
believe
probably right. With it being in church, I doubt they're going to be
it. They're not gonna-
willing to pass that on.
But yeah, anyway, Jerry, what's your next question for these fine folks, my man?
What are some of the biggest misconceptions that you guys think that people have about ghosts and ghost hunting?
Oh, definitely that everything is a demon. I hate that with a passion. Like, yeah, you could be a butthole, and you could be that in life. You're gonna be that in the afterlife. So just because it's not nice, it doesn't want you around. It's not a demon. It does. You have to talk to them like they're a person. And I'm not saying demons don't exist. I just think it's super rare you will ever see one, especially just going into abandoned buildings where there's nothing. Why would they hang out there?
That's what I was going to say. That they're kind of out there for a purpose. They're not just going to be hanging out.
That's why I say it. Why would they not be on Wall Street? Why would they not be in Washington where there's places they can be effective?
I also believe that it's what you said is very true. So many people, when you mention spirits, to them, the only type of spirit is evil spirits. And I think what he's saying is that there's certainly the vast majority is good or neutral, not just some demonic evil spirit. which is very
That
good
was what I was going to say.
Should I recount?
Especially here in the Bible Belt, you'll hear a lot of, the only spirit is the Holy Spirit, and anything else is of the devil. And
Right.
that's the thing. We don't really know. It's all supposition, because we're not dead. We can only base everything on our experiences, the things we've seen, the things we've heard. But I think it makes it a little more, I guess, easy to comprehend if you just get people to understand that really they're just people without bodies. They're here. That doesn't make them necessarily inherently good or bad. They're just here. And if you can think about them as people just without a body, most of the time it makes them a lot less scary for the people that are encountering them, because they understand then that they have a personality and a background and a history, and they've got their own experiences.
That brings up another question. Do you think many ghosts or most ghosts have a agenda or purpose in mind?
Well, again, this is supposition because we've never really been where they are. But
Right.
my feeling on the matter is, while some of them do have unfinished business, some of them may just be scared of the light and going into the light because they don't know what's on the other side. Just like you have fear in life, they can have fear in death as well.
Sure.
So I feel like there's probably many reasons that they wind up staying here. It could be that they have an attachment to somebody that's here and they really want to stay here for them. They don't think that they can watch over them. It could be maybe the religion that they grew up in or were based in has instilled fear instead of like love, and they're scared of crossing over.
Like everyone's scared of the unknown, and it probably just continues with some people to where they just stay where they're at.
Sure.
Do you guys think that they're, in your experience, is it mainly benign and leaning toward good, or are there more, or is it kind of just a mix like we are in human form?
Mostly the spirits that I've encountered are just here. It's not like they're bad or good. Some of them are watchful. Like I know at the Lake Shawnee, there was actually an Indian burial ground there, and there were spirits there that were watching us the entire time we were there, trying to protect their grounds. And that was just a watchful eye. So, they weren't malevolent, they were just watchful. The spirits that we've had conversations with, once they know that you're not trying to harass them or chase them away or do anything to them, they are typically much more open to a conversation. And it's just like walking up to a stranger. You have to establish a relationship, and it's a little bit more challenging because you can't see facial expressions or anything like that. So you don't know what time frame they're from or their personal references. But it's really important to try to be respectful and establish that rapport.
Yeah, I think even like a lot of things that we do, we're in their house, we're in their room, so they might get aggravated and hateful with us because they must have their space. If we was away, we could talk to them outside, we would, but it's not quite what we're able to do right now.
Right.
So, do you think that they hang out here because they're trying to, like you say, fear, or is it because, well, I guess that's a good enough answer, but I guess my question is a spirit that is taken early, if you will. I mean, I believe in God's timing, but if someone dies in a car accident who had dinner plans that evening, are they more likely to hang out as opposed to go into the light or go into the dark? As opposed to someone who dies peacefully in their bed surrounded by family.
I think we may have just encountered a spirit a couple weeks ago that passed away um 3-4 months ago.
Less.
Less. And I think through everyone we established a story that he accidentally
Drove off the road.
drove off the road. She was left a hospital, I
Yeah,
think, job.
Or she was on her way to work,
She was
actually.
on her way
This
to
is
work.
worse.
Okay. It was late. She made a wrong turn and she ended up in a river and drowned. So she was kind of saying that she caused it herself. So maybe, and this is a place we're gonna go back to, and we didn't really put all the pieces together until after. So maybe she's trying to get her story out there, and maybe that'll um, help her whatever she needs.
But I think some of the spirits, there's multiple things to it, because if a spirit dies suddenly, there's a chance that they don't really realize that they've passed. And I actually had an instance where I was feeling watched in our house, and it was a lady that wandered in basically off the street because she didn't realize she had passed away. She was trying to catch her bus to go to work from like the 1950s, and she was confused. She didn't know how she'd gotten lost. She didn't know where she was going. She was just trying to get to work and couldn't figure out how to get to her bus stop.
That's a long time to be lost.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, wouldn't that be scary as hell
Yeah.
to be in that
Yeah.
situation?
Sitting there screaming at people that can't hear you.
It's
And she apparently was a typist, so she was working in a room on a typewriter. Imagine like it's just 10 ladies sitting in a room with typewriters, smoking, chain smoking, and but I worked from home on a computer, so she was really interested once she stumbled in about the computer and how I was typing on the computer.
That's crazy.
Really?
I used to do home health in a different life, and I would talk to husbands of widowers and widows, and they would, most of the time, eventually they would open up to me and they would talk about their beloved or whatever. And it's something that I never, and this is such a morbid thought, I apologize, but I remember two in particular. This one man, he came home. He didn't come home. He was mowing the yard. He comes in, and his wife was in the dryer, like her legs were sticking out of the dryer. And he thought that was funny. He went up and he smacked her on the butt, and she didn't move. And she had passed away. She had literally had a heart attack getting clothes out of the dryer.
Jesus.
And in my mind, until that story, everybody passed away in bed. I just couldn't understand that, you can just be doing a normal thing. It doesn't wait. When it's your time, it doesn't wait for you to go to bed or, to say your goodbyes. It just happens.
It's true. I
Can
knew
happen
someone that
anytime,
passed
anywhere.
away when they were driving and luckily didn't crash or didn't hit anybody. They just went into a ditch and they found him like that.
Wow.
Jeez.
So we're talking again with Phillip and Amber. They run the group Illuminate the Beyond on Facebook. Look them up, give them a like. Man, they are keen on it. I'm enjoying this conversation.
Now, I know you guys are based in Central Kentucky. Members welcome from anywhere.
Well, we have one member that is in Louisville. We have one member that is down in Gary County. One of our teammates is in Lexington, and then Phillip and I are in Nicholasville. If we have openings and we've gotten to know somebody, occasionally we'll invite them to help fill spots on investigations.
Because it's not cheap.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of people don't realize we do typically, in most cases, rent locations, and we're typically talking like hundreds of dollars. So it's that divided by, however many people go. A lot of people just don't realize that it's that expensive of a hobby. And occasionally we do find places that are private locations where people just want like validation, we're always very clear that we are not coming there to do a cleansing or anything like that. And that if we don't have the exact same experience, it doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing going on. Because again, they're people without bodies. Just because they're comfortable with the homeowner or whoever is there, they're not necessarily going to get the same experience.
And in those instances, I wouldn't go in as when it's communicate. I would go in looking for logic.
Like what's going on.
Like, okay, maybe it's just, maybe your pipes in the wall are loose. Maybe that's why you're hearing knocking. Maybe your windows are wood and they pop every time it cools down. I wouldn't necessarily go in there looking for a
Yeah.
spirit.
Not everything is paranormal, and that's the thing that drives me nuts is while we're interested in the paranormal, we also want to disprove some things because not everything is paranormal, and you can't always have paranormal stuff constantly going on around you and it not somehow be like you're putting things out there, like
Oh, the human mind is powerful. I think you can create things just by belief. If you put enough of yourself into it, you can make something.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's one of the things that I like most about your group is the fact that you're not just out there
Pushing
No,
a certain.
God, you hate that.
Yeah, that's the whole point of our show is we cover aliens, cryptids, and ghosts, and criminal minds. And we do a lot of stuff here.
We find that a lot of it's fake, and we say it's fake if it's
We call a spade and a duck. And we were so. I'll give you two quick examples. And if you want to go back and listen to the shows, you're welcome to. Or if you're listening now and want to go back and listen to them, don't. I was so excited to cover voodoo. And I told Jerry, I was like, man, this is going to probably be a multi-part episode. It's going to be awesome. And we got to digging, and it's like nothing. There's just nothing there. It's all smoke and mirrors, and it's all legend.
There's no proof. I mean, if voodoo's real, there's been no proof of any
It's
of it.
well hidden.
Very well hidden.
And the other one was the chupacabra. That was horrible.
A bunch of the cryptids we found are just, there's nothing there, literally.
Yeah.
Which draws away, and I think it's what you guys are saying. There's cryptids that there's so much evidence, you got to admit there's something there.
Bigfoot is an
But
example.
right, but it's drawing away from those when you come across the ones that are falsely pushed on people, and you do a little research and find that there's absolutely nothing there.
We did last week, actually, we covered the house the devil built, the Congolier house in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And it's all fake.
And there's just
all
nothing.
fake.
The house didn't even exist until like the 1960s or something. It was crazy. So we are of like minds when it comes to this stuff. Now, I have had experiences. I do know how creepy it is or how mundane it is. There's a house in Cynthiana, and I've told this story. Jerry's probably like, oh, not this again. But one of my best friends, her grandma would always make Sunday dinner, and she was from a big family. She always made a big dinner. She invited us, my mom and my brother and myself, down every Sunday to eat lunch with them. And at one point, her grandpa died, and before that, nothing happened in this house. It was just a normal house. After Herman had passed away, they started seeing shadows. He had a very particular radio station that he liked to listen to. If she changed the station would change right back.
Well, that's cool.
It was a, this is back in the
old
early
analog.
90s, so it was an analog dial.
There was
It
no
wasn't like
button
there was
on
no
a digital
button
station
to
to
get
be
stuck
pushed.
or anything. Many times if they didn't like what we were having for lunch, the cabinets would open, displaying food. It was the toaster would pop for no reason, and I saw all that. That's real. I can even show you where that house is. I don't know that you can get into it or would want to at this point, but that's down in Cynthiana. But I certainly believe that there's enough to say there's something. Do you guys ever talk about or deal with near-death experiences at all?
So no, I don't don't think we're like averse to talking to people about them. I just don't think that we have had them.
Yeah, we just don't have first hand
Yeah.
experience. you obviously can't just create that. So we just
We just want you to.
yeah.
I mean, I could.
I mean, sometimes she wants to, but yeah, it's just like with like aliens, cryptids. Of course, we believe in stuff. It's just not where we focus our attention at this time.
Yeah, there's so many things and theories, and um, it's hard to not acknowledge that there's something about different things, like Bigfoot. I believe there's so much out there that there's credibility to it just because of the quantity, I think. And then I feel like, personally at least, like UFOs, like
I believe in that more than
how do you think that we are the only people in this entire universe? Like that's really like arrogant to think that out of this entire vast amount of space that only humans exist, So I feel like they're out there, but I don't really have like a metric system for credibility or finding information or anything like that. So it's just like I like to expand my knowledge like a little bit at a time. So we're focusing on kind of like the here and now for us. And then, I feel like when we get a better grip on it, maybe we would go into something else. But we just chose to focus on the things that interest us, that are like the here and now, and that we have more opportunity to actually experience or investigate. Mhm.
So if someone had a haunted place that they thought, hey, this is haunted, could they invite you guys to come do that? And,
course.
you guys would show up? Okay.
I actually have a survey that I can send, because I'll be honest, we've had some people reach out that were probably a little Fruit Loops. And just for our safety, like I have this form that I just ask them to fill it out, like tell us what your experiences are. I do ask some very personal questions, but I also put on there, we're not disclosing this information to anyone else. And it's basically just so we can kind of get an idea of what their expectation is, what their experiences are, and maybe us try to figure out ahead of time some possible logical explanations for some of the activities, so that we can delve into options before we get there and not just think, oh, it's haunted, it's haunted.
Yeah, our team is me and 4 wonderful ladies, so I want to make sure they're always protected.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Absolutely.
So, any final words that you guys want to add?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I would just say, if people are looking for a place in Kentucky that's not too far away, I highly recommend going to the Van Leer Historical Society. They have the Coal Miners Museum there. That's what we've made our new quote unquote like home location that we'll be going to several times over a longer period, so that we can hopefully build like a rapport with the spirits that are there on a more consistent basis. Hopefully that'll let us not only kind of learn their personalities, but build relationships and see if, knowing us, they change their personality towards us at all. So, but we've had some great experiences there, and the money for investigations or tours all goes to keeping that place alive.
And if anyone is on TikTok would like to check out Limit Beyond, I try to post evidence. I try to post funny videos. I like to have fun with it, not get too serious. So feel free to check them out.
Good deal. And we will leave links to your Facebook group and your TikTok site as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
I'm still not on TikTok. I refuse.
Oh, no, I don't
You're on
blame you.
TikTok every time I
put
send you
stuff
one.
on YouTube and Facebook if I can. It's just easier to make videos on there, and that's what I've been working on.
If you guys get into the Van Leer House or the Van Leer Historic Society and you start getting experiences, we would love to come join you. I'm open to things, and Jerry obviously is a skeptic, but I would love for him to actually get out and do something like that. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, if you guys are willing, I mean, we'll definitely be going there again. Brian runs the Paranormal Investigations there, and he's a friend of ours. His investigation style is kind of like ours, so I think you guys would really like him. He's also a veteran, and he recently stopped working at the sheriff's department, so He's a really solid stand-up guy. He's got the investigation skills, so
And if I may, there's another location that has been good to us, Octagon Hall, right outside of Bowling Green, Kentucky. And they do kind of require experienced teams there. I'm hoping we are falling into that category and bring gifts.
we do. We still can.
So we've been there twice now, and it's pretty active. I would rather go there than Waverly Hills any day.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's saying something.
Yeah, I promise it's a good location.
And Van Leer. And honestly, I'm all about kind of bang for the buck for the amount of money you spend going for Waverly or something like that. Like, you're never guaranteed any sort of activity. So to lay out that amount of money, for me, we had a lot more success in like the little hole in the wall kind of places, or the places that are not as broadly or widely known. But Van Leer has been awesome. The activity's been great every time we've been there. Octagon Hall's been great. And Octagon Hall, like, it's not super expensive. Van Leer is extremely, extremely reasonable.
Yeah, not take away from Waverly whatsoever. It's still a wonderful, massive place. It's just not everyone can afford more expensive places like that.
And you're never guaranteed any sort of activity. So I would rather,
Yeah,
spend a smaller amount of money on a place that I know I've had some great experiences at.
Sure.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate it. Phillip, Amber, you guys are welcome on our show anytime.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Anytime
Thank
you
you.
have something to share, you want to hop on. It doesn't have to be a full interview. You want us to get the word out for something.
Let us know.
We actually, believe it or not, this little two old boys from Kentucky have a worldwide audience. It's a little crazy for us. We still can't wrap our heads around it.
That's awesome.
You guys have been great. We really appreciate it.
But we'd love you. We would love for you to come back at any time and join us. And
Absolutely.
we appreciate you. And thank you so much. Man, that episode is really interesting. And if you'll stick around for us for just a few commercials, we have another great story to tell you.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you want us to review or rate your product on air, if you have suggestions for new episodes, awesome ghost stories, or anything else, please reach out to us. Our email address is newsworthywithsteveandjerry@gmail.com. Our text number is area code 540-709-1318.
And now, back to the story. Jerry, let's talk about the Mongolian death worm.
Well, that sounds very interesting.
You know, we haven't done a good cryptid story in a while.
Very true.
And I've got my juices flowing for the Bigfoot
There you
Festival
go.
coming.
Let's get ready.
Yeah. So nomads traveling across the Gobi Desert in the 19th century were the very first peoples to report sightings of the Mongolian death worm. Though no one has ever photographed or produced video or audio recordings of the beast, the Mongolian death worm is perhaps the most fearsome monster said to roam the arid regions of Asia. The legends say that this species lives in the Gobi Desert, primarily in the hottest, most desolate, and inhospitable parts of the desert. These particularly harsh areas are located in northern China and southern Mongolia. While accounts vary of the size of the creature, some say the beast is just 2 feet long, while others say it's been reported to be up to 20 feet long. All of those who talk about the death worm agree on one thing. It is extremely venomous. So venomous that just touching it with one's bare skin can be lethal. The Mongolian death worm is so well known in local folklore that former Mongolian Prime Minister Damenibazar, say that 3 times fast, spoke openly of its existence. In 1922, he even said, "It is shaped like a sausage, about 2 feet long, has no head nor leg, but is so poisonous that merely to touch it means instant death. It lives in the most desolate parts of the Gobi Desert." Most stories about the death worm claim that it spends most of its life underground, burrowing deep within the sand and creating furrows in the surface of the soil, much like a mole would, except on a far grander scale. While numerous expeditions into the Gobi Desert were made in the 20th century to bring back evidence of the beast, none were successful. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.